All right, so blue, white hero. This is it's weird. It's a little bit weird. So I'd like to address the first question that popped up in chat. Are 17 multicolor cards enough to satisfy hero even with Acuity's replayability? I think so is the answer. And that's something that we're going to be thinking about and want to talk about while we play the matches. One of the other things to consider in a deck like this is that cards like Sphinx, cards like Precog, cards that draw cards like Depose, all these things that let us see more cards make us more likely to find the cards that we care about, which in a way gives us more access to the multicolored cards when we want them. Also remember that like your deck doesn't always have your hero in play, and when you don't have hero in play, you don't need your multicolored spells necessarily. Stream Decker, yep, thank you. This is fine. Needs a third land, but like if they play a creature, Depose lets us cycle. This is the part where they're playing Esper Control, and this Baffling End doesn't have text, and the Depose doesn't have text. Unbreakable Formation is technically a token payoff. Makes all your dorks bigger and smushes. I don't know what Glass is, Nivik. Is Glass the really terrible 2-mana card that gives your multicolored creatures +1/+1? Yeah, that card's not playable. Individually weak. There are so many playable cards in this format that give all of your creatures +1/+1 that like playing something like that is bad. You should just play Banalish Marshal or Unbreakable Formation or Heroic Reinforcements. Like, pick your choice of any of these other cards that are otherwise playable. Alright, running off 2 lands in a row here is pretty sweet. Individually weak cards are generally not constructed playable. In order for a synergy card to pass the barrier of entry into constructed, the payoff you're getting from that weak card has to be proportional to the amount of downside that that card has when it doesn't work. Last week, just before the Mythic Invitational, they got added. Dovin is unfortunately only going to 6 here. So, the Baffling Ends in this deck are here to hedge very specific matchups. And again, this is why Control is good. This is why Esper is reasonable in this format. It's reasonable because it gains virtual card advantage against all of these decks. I get that it feels really bad to like have your Baffling End not have text against Esper Control, but it feels much worse to not have your Baffling Ends against all the various decks that are playing creatures in the format. I was holding up Unbreakable Formation to play around Kaya's Wrath. They had Cry. We are dead. No, I don't think Flower Flourish is good. I don't think the power level of Flower Flourish is proportional to the amount of inconsistency it's going to add to our deck to try and splash it. think this card's actually just kind of not good enough here. I think a lot of the time it's going to be difficult to hold up to counter a Wrath, and the Anthem effect is not great against a bunch of removal spells. I don't think this is an exposed to daylight matchup. I think one formation's probably better than that. I don't really want Conclave Tribunal either against the Mortify deck. Yeah, I agree with that from Navier. I'd rather splash Trostani. And, like, we've played a lot of Bant Hero iterations. And, in fact, if you go back and watch us play Bant Hero, it ends up being mediocre almost every time. Especially Flower Flourish ends up feeling mediocre. Sure. For the Unbreakable Formation upgrade, it looks sweet. We'll do, Sheriff Wiggles. I agree. Abzan Hero is consistently my favorite hero deck. All of the ones that weren't spoiled today, Tumos. We have 2 good 3-drops here. We have both Acuity and Dovin, which is great. Maybe I'm supposed to lead on this. I don't know. This, like, almost certainly dies if I lead on it, right? Yeah, the Planeswalker designs have been really good so far. Both the design space of putting static abilities on them and the fact that they just tick down seems quite fantastic. We got you, J Boogie. Yep. I did not see the blue-red infinite combo. I'm sure it's awful and not actually playable. Maybe I'm wrong and it actually is. I don't know. So while you're running this massive variety of decks, how do you gauge what is bad versus what did well and have good matchups? Experience. It's all, Magic's very subjective. Being good at Magic the Gathering is the art of extracting meaningful conclusions from statistically insignificant sample sizes. I haven't seen any of your spoiler cards. Just pretend I haven't seen any of them and I have no idea what any of them do. I think I missed a month, so here's $5 dues. Been playing with your version of Grixis Dragons, and it's been sweet. Thanks for the support. Hope you're having a fantastic day.
Now what?
That was actually a huge mistake, right? Because now they're gonna kill this, and their Teferi's gonna have a bunch of loyalty. I don't think it really matters. It feels like we're kind of screwed regardless of what we do here. Onward, upward, backward, forward. How are we doing, folks? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good night to everybody wherever you're at in the world. Thanks for dropping in here today. My name is Jeff Hoagland. I stream full-time here on Twitch. I'm here playing Magic 30, 40, 50 hours a week. If you're someone who enjoys standard best of 3 constructed, this is definitely the channel for you. We play a ton of different decks here, and we usually change decks every 60 to 90 minutes. There's a lot of variety in what we have going on. As always, I'd like to give a shout out to my wonderful subs. I wouldn't be here day in and day out without their wonderful support, so thanks to all of them for keeping me in play. I'd also like to take a second to plug a couple of my sponsors here really quick. Quip provides wonderful, affordable, quality electric toothbrush. You head on over to bit.ly/HugoQuip. You can save, you can get your first refill kit of a toothbrush, toothpaste, and brush head replacement with them for free. BCW supplies are the only ones that I trust to protect my paper Magic the Gathering cards. Using code Jeff10 at bcwsupplies.com, you can do 10% on sleeves, binders, deck box, and all sorts of other fantastic stuff there with them. Cardster.com will love to help you turn your cards into other cards direct to their players. There's no haggling, and they just take 1% fee off the top. And of course, InkedGaming.com will love to help you customize your gaming experience using code Jeff12. You can save 12% on custom playmats, mousepads, binders, and bags with them. You can upload your own custom artwork or choose from the wide range of artwork that they have on their website. And I think I'm just going to try fitting in the Twitch ads right at the end of these shills when I do these occasionally, so let's go upgrade the, we had a cheer to upgrade Unbreakable Formation from Sheriff. Let's do that one. Ooh, that is good. There's some shimmers on the things. Get it? Get it? Yeah, I think this deck's just kind of rancid against control. I don't really know that we can really fix that all that much. So, like, if I look at this main deck, there's, like, 5, 9, 10, 11 cards at a minimum I need to cut against control. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Maybe I am just supposed to bring in the Exposed to Daylights. Yeah, maybe that's it. Deputy of Detention, definitely not fantastic in that matchup, though. It'll be, Twitch provides graphs at the end of the day that show my viewer count throughout the stream, so it'll be interesting to see if there's dips after every time we ran an ad break. Alright, 30 seconds left. Let's find a match. Yeah, the key to making that combo work, if it's playable, is slotting it into a deck that, like, wants to play all those cards anyways. It's just, like, a good deck that happens to combo some of the time. Feels like Twitch chat builds that it up. I mean, that's kind of what it is, right? Alright, please be an aggro deck. Please be an aggro deck. MPR, thank you for the 12 months of support. Have a sword to go with your shield. Thanks for keeping me around. What did we play before this? We played Blue-Red Treasurers, which was an okay league. I'm actually looking forward to playing the Abzan Aristocrats we're going to play last today. Deck seems super reasonable. So my opponent didn't have anything to do on turn 2 here, which means I'm just going to go ahead and Baffling End proactively here, because if they didn't have anything to do with 2 mana this turn, there's a chance they don't have anything to do next turn either. I'm not gonna comment on whether or not it seems good or bad, because I haven't actually, like, sat down to look at the cards you're referring to or how it works. So I don't have an informed opinion on it. Did I give up on the DX Racer? Yeah, I think I prefer my old office chair. Which isn't, I guess it's not too surprising because, like, this chair that I have isn't a cheap chair. It cost like 600 bucks, so I guess I would expect the chair that costs twice as much to sit better than the one that costs half as much. No, not really. I do some support stuff. That is not what I want to do. Thank you, Arena. Nope. I do some support stuff for the Linux project that I helped start during undergrad, but a lot of other people in the project do more than I do these days.
You're doing me a favor.
Yeah, Deputy Detention on Krasis is great, because even if they kill Deputy, Krasis then leaves. Do I miss it? Nah, not really. How do I feel about down? I think I have 2 more Dovins in my hand, so I think I'm going to down tick Dovin, play second Dovin plus. So if I plus Dovin here, he ends up at 5, and then next turn he gains 3 and goes to 8, and then he can ultimate. And I think I'm gonna warrant Jade Light to the top of their deck when it attacks Dovin next turn. Vivian's annoying, but not the end of the world. It really sucks that Dovin, this card's actually probably gonna get worse with the new set if people are playing Planeswalkers. Because, like, he doesn't get counters when your creatures hit Planeswalkers. I mean, as with most things in life, you get what you pay for. Spending $1,000 versus spending, like, you know, 300's a big difference.
Small things that matter.
So it's going to be like that, huh?
This is the part where they untapped and Vraska's Contempt my thing, right? And then it's all for nothing.
No one knows the wilds like I do.
If they don't have a Contempt here, Dovin might be able to pull us kicking and screaming across this finish line.
Situations, no matter how dire, are easily remedied.
Good lord. I guess. Maybe I'm supposed to take the Baffling End here so I can Baffling End this to pressure this with extra. Oh, I guess this just lets them hostage taker my hero next turn, huh? This is probably loose.
Now we're getting started.
Sure.
Get that out of here.
They just have another Vivian here, maybe? Yep. And, like, they have Memorial to Folly for the Krasis. They have Vivian that's going to tick up. They can Hostage Shaker my Sphinx. Yeah, I think there's a good chance the last time we played this, it just ran a little bit hot. We also played against a lot of aggro last time we played, and I feel like we're probably more reasonable in the matchups where, like, these cards have text than these ones that we're playing right now. Sphinx is pretty bad in the Vivian matchup. Cut a couple Summary Judgments. See how this feels. Doesn't seem great for us, though. Maybe the counter spells can keep him off. Keep him off her back. Yeah, I think I agree with that assessment, Camboni. The less aggressive shells don't really seem like fantastic fits for this card. Yay! They didn't cast spells and they died! Die! If you're looking for a good hero deck, I'd highly recommend checking out the Abzan hero deck we played a bunch on stream. I think that shell's super reasonable. It's able to be more aggressive, like we were talking about, being better for these hero shells on average. Yeah, Jeskai is interesting because heroic reinforcements is really good, right? It's a great card to pair with hero. Wow, do they have Stone Cold? Nothing. Stone Cold Nothing would be so good for us. Maybe I'm supposed to wait a turn here and just hold the Absorb up. Very possible I'm supposed to wait a turn. I don't know. Feels like they have nothing. I just want to strike while the iron's hot. I am just going to hold up Absorb for now, though. And then next turn I can play Dovin plus still hold up Absorb. Stroke it, baby. Alright, so opponent stumbled and bumbled twice. We're able to get him. Someone in chat had made the suggestion of Revitalize possibly over Summary Dismissal, and I kind of like that idea. I might try that. I think you're right. We might have enough. That gives us less dead draws against control, too, which is really appealing. Let's just make sure they keep stumbling here. They're dead to this. They're dead to this thing. So, someone earlier had asked a really important question. How do you evaluate when your deck is actually good that you're testing versus knowing when you're just getting kind of lucky? So, like, the biggest way to know that or start learning that is you need to think critically about what is happening in the games that you're playing and not just look at the results of the match that you're having. So, like, that last match is a great example of this. The last match, it's very easy to say, oh, we won 2-1, the deck was great. But think about what happened while we were winning. So if we reflect on what happened while we were winning, if you think about it, it's like, oh, well, we won the games where we drew Hero super early and it didn't die, and my opponent stumbled. So you want to think about, like, well, how many things had to go right for us to win there? Like, was my opponent's deck functioning? Did they stumble and die? Like, so like that last game I think would be an example, a good example of it doesn't really say much about the power level of the deck currently because things kind of went swimmingly for us. Get to the Thopter! To the Thopter! Everything went far worse than expected, chat. Everything went far worse than expected. One of your finest 4/4s, please. That's a big tempo loss, right? Like they traded their 2-mana play for my 5-mana play, and now they're gonna smack us for infinite. Yeah, we're hitting, and this is good to see too, right? Like we played against a bunch of, if I recall correctly, mono blue and red decks last time we played this, and this deck felt very reasonable in those matchups. However, against these more mid-range decks that we're playing against here today, green-red, Sultai, control decks like Esper, it really doesn't feel like this deck's particularly competitive. I have a hard time protecting Dovin, so I'm going to trim him. It feels like our cards are getting outclassed, and our removal spell and our card advantage isn't quite good enough. Telegraph! Thank you for the quarter view. I really appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for shipping your Twitch Prime back this way again. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday wherever you're at. Yeah, I agree, Duralek. Lava Coil's pretty omnipresent in the format. It's like a must-play if you have a bunch of red sources in your deck. You have red sources in your deck. Chemical Pasta, thanks for the 2 months. I appreciate you keeping me around. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. Is that due to the deck meandering through the rock, paper, scissors of aggro mid-range control? No, I don't think so. I think this deck's just like only good against aggro, and it sounds like it's losing to 2 of the 3 there. I'm not sure that being in just these 2 colors gives us the tools we need to be successful against a variety of strategies. And that's one of the real issues with the white removal in this format is it's very narrow and specific. It's not flexible. Well, I've not been looking at spoilers today. I generally don't look at spoilers while I'm streaming because, well, I'm working. I'm just gonna go ahead and diddle this at end of turn, just like draw another card here. I would love a Sphinx. They missed their 3rd land, so I'm gonna play the Sphinx and hope we can just get going. The scary part is the fact that they missed a land does mean they have 5 spells in their hand, which increases the likelihood of a collision or a lava coil here. No blocks. That card doesn't seem fast enough for Modern. Again, the very key to understanding if a card's good in Modern is ask yourself, is this card both brutal and efficient? If the answer to those questions are no, then it's probably not playable. If it's not brutal and efficient or doesn't enable some really obnoxious degenerate combo, it's likely not good enough. I actually want both of these. It cracks me up that people compare things as bad as that card to Snapcaster Mage. Stop it. It's just embarrassing. That card is so much worse than Snapcaster Mage, it's unreal. Stop it. Get some help. And I mean, it's like, it's okay to be worse than Snapcaster Mage, right? Because, like, that card's busted beyond repair. Snapcaster, not bad.jpg. I think I want an untapped land here. Untapped land lets me deploy plus Unbreakable Formation. Do you value a deck based on how fun it is to play or best chance to win? Depends on what I'm looking for. Am I looking to go to a tournament and do well? Well, if that's the case, then I want the best chance to win. Am I looking to just, like, enjoy myself while I'm playing Magic? I mean, ideally, an ideal deck should have a mix of the two. Like, remember, at the end of the day, Magic's a game that you should be playing for fun. And, like, Magic's got such an incredible amount of variance in it that if your only goal is winning while playing Magic, you're probably going to be sad a large proportion of the time. Even if it had haste, it's not good enough. I can't believe I'm able to interact with your stream on Arena. I must be a noob. The Arena technology is A+. You are not wrong. It's real good. Get to the Thopter! To the Thopter! Alright. I would like to dead you in the air. Got him good. And again, like, we won the game, but you want to think back and, like, well, how did we win the game? What went right for us? Did something go wrong for the opponent? Did we both execute our game plans, and was our game plan good enough to beat their game plan when it was executed? Opponent kind of stumbled and died there, right? Like, they missed their third land drop on 3, they struggled to get to 4 past that. Correct, Silas. Indestructible does beat Lava Coil. Lava Coil is what we refer to as a replacement effect, so if the thing that Lava Coil is trying to replace doesn't happen, it can't replace anything. Yeah, exactly. We played Sphinx on turn 4, and they both didn't have Lava Coil and didn't have Collision Colossus. See, a lot of people, myself included, Mana Symbol, disagree with your assessment that there are a variety of play patterns. So you felt the need to list 5 different decks there to describe your variety of play patterns, right? All 5 of those decks can kill by the 3rd turn of the game. So there's kind of some variety going on. But it's very distinctly all decks doing one specific thing well, getting the opponent dead as soon as blisteringly possible. So yeah, they get their opponent dead very quickly in a variety of ways, but they're all getting them dead very quickly. Modern's a format where you need to enjoy playing a deck that kills very quickly, or enjoy playing decks that play against decks that are going to try and kill you quickly. Because while there are reasonable mid-range decks like Black-Green Rock, control decks like Blue-White and Jeskai that you can win with, a majority of the games you play with those decks are going to be against decks that are trying to end the game ASAP. Ghost, thanks for the biddies, I really appreciate that, fantastic. Yes, you have to reveal Sphinx. Alright. Hey, look, a distraction. Hopefully this eats a lava coil so that the Sphinx of Foresight can stick around. No blocks. I mean, there's more to Magic than Thoughtseize and Just Chimeras, though, Chalky. Sure, they're doing different things, but they're all fast and brutal, right? It's like pointing out that, like, a glazed donut and a jelly donut are functionally very different flavors of donuts, but, like, at the end of the day, they're still both a sugary treat, right? What is in their hand? They didn't have a 4-mana play? No blocks. Ain't nobody got time to block. I'm gonna keep that. Going to Baffling End, the Krull Harpooner. And we're solidly winning this race. Their draw lining up exceedingly awkward. Sure. So I'd really like to draw another land this turn so I can Deputy plus hold up Unbreakable Formation still. Huh. I think I just want to land. I think it's important that I just hold up Unbreakable Formation here. I think it's critical that my creatures survive. Modern's like a donut shop. I'm poor and can't afford any of the donuts. That's... Yep. Things modern ain't. Cheap. Alright, 2 more shots at a land tier. I guess this gives me an extra shot too, right? 3 shots at a land. Ola! You do have a sword. Thank you for the 15 months. I appreciate you keeping me around. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday wherever you're at in the world. Alright, and this Unbreakable Formation as a bad counterspell is looking to help us drag this match across the finish line here. Our interaction working out very nicely. Storm and Titan Shift are both fairly cheap. I like that you, like, admit that price is relative and then try to, like, make this reference implying it's not. Like, 300 bucks for Storm is, like, not cheap for, like, hobby decks, hobby things a lot of the time. Probably a non-zero beetle. Yeah, but I'd argue Storm being cheaper than some standard decks doesn't make Storm cheap. It makes those standard decks expensive. In my opinion. It depends on what the deck costs, Jack. So all the decks have different pricing depending on what they are. The rare and mythic count is what dictates how much decks cost in Arena. And the other thing about Arena is that the way the Arena model works, and this is very smart on their part, the more cards you acquire, your nth deck is always cheaper than the N-1 deck, because as you buy packs, the way the wild card system works, you incidentally have more cards. You incidentally have more cards from the next one, with each one you buy. And the other thing too is, once you have your first competitive constructed deck, like if you just have a tier 1 deck and you just sit and grind the 1,000 gold queue all day, you are gonna get a lot of cards and gold pretty quickly. I already have a Dovin. I think I'm in for lands 3 and 4 though. What do you think would be an ideal price for a competitive deck if there wouldn't be a secondary market? I have no idea. It's a really complicated question that has a lot of things that factor into it. And I'm not a fan of, like, making up numbers off the cuff for stuff like that. I'd rather just be like, this is something that would need to be researched, and I would do research if I had to make this decision. So, it's okay to say you don't know something.
You have been analyzing a small example of my genius.
There's some magic number out there if you were to sell decks individually with no secondary market that's like, this number maximizes the number of people who will play Magic. And like, figuring out where that number is that maximizes the number of people who play Magic probably isn't trivial. A shard of your soul. That's the current price to get into Legacy, actually. Wow, that's rude. Alright, so I punted. Obs should have attacked before minusing my Dovin. Could have played a Found Fiery Cannonade. Do I think packs is the best way of distributing cards for the game? Well, that depends on who you're defining best for. Best for the consumer, best for profit margins, best for getting the most people into the game. Best for which types of people you want to get into the game. Like, that's a super loaded question. That number is difficult to find. Yep. Sometimes calculus can help, but even then, got a lot going on there. A lot of factors. Then there's the old, correlation does not equate to causation. That makes these calculations just extra difficult, right? It's like, and I do calculations like this all the time when I'm trying to make decisions with the stream, right? It's like, okay, I made this decision, and this decision resulted in this change on my stream, but it's like, okay, did this decision cause this change? Or like, was this change going to happen naturally because of outside factors? The sub-only chat's a good example of that, right? Like, I changed the sub-only chat and my numbers went down, but it's hard to tell if they're down specifically because of sub-only chat or if they're down because of the part we're at in the Magic cycle. After the most recent reserve list bump, Legacy decks actually cost a Firstborn Son instead of a Soul Shard. I need everyone to hold for a minute because I realize I haven't done this yet with these sleeves. Alright, sorry, back to our regularly scheduled Magic the Gathering.
Not just a gadget, but ingenuity.
Go back to the shiny backs. Oh! This is so we can sit here and do this now while the Nexus decks combo. It gives us something to do. It gives the little people something to do. Huge QOL improvement. The part where they expansion us and we die? I think this is the part where they expansion us and we die. Alright, yeah, mostly dead. Alright. Onward, upward, backward, forward. Get to cut these terrible baffling ends out of our deck here. As an atheist who doesn't plan on having kids, I'm not sure how to get the legacy. Oh, that's rich. That's. I really wish I could upvote comments in Twitch chat. He's like can we get threaded Twitch chat comments? Push it up, down, all around. Here's a question which has been bouncing around in my head for a moment. Given that Hero is a powerful card and building decks around Hero is worthwhile, why haven't I seen a revival as more pseudo copies? Is it just because drawing it is less dependent than drawing your best card? I think the biggest issue is that it's just not an individually powerful card. So, for example, in a lot of the other Hero decks I've tried, rather than playing Revival, I found that if I want to play an effect of that type, I'd rather play Ajani, the 4-mana Ajani, because Ajani returns Hero to play, but he also has a lot of flexibility in what he's able to do when I don't have heroes to bring back into play. Let's yoink the crap out of this one. This is exactly, so I feel like my takeaway from playing this deck, I think it's gonna be our last match with this one. My takeaway from playing this deck really feels like the games where like you have Hero early and it goes unchecked are just like night and day, right? Like basically the non-Hero backup plan that this deck is executing, like what it's doing when it doesn't have the card it's named after, it's just kind of flopping around and not really doing anything. I feel like this deck needs a better plan for the games where it doesn't draw a hero, and I'm not sure that it can have one of those in just straight blue-white. That's one of the reasons why the Abzan hero deck that we've played a good deal on stream that I like a lot has felt so reasonable, because it's great even when it doesn't have hero in play. No fire, no steel, no ads for me. Mike the Mailman, thank you for the 7 months of Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. It doesn't seem like doing the 2 minutes of ad breaks an hour has really negatively impacted the viewer count today. There were some small leaves when I ran them today, but not huge, so hopefully Twitch or Tempo Storm or whoever has to agree to me offering to do that is okay with that number. It seems like that might be. I'll have to go back and look, and obviously we'll run it this week and see if that's the case, but I don't think 2 minutes is unreasonable per hour. I think this should extend to people who treat it as a stock exchange. So I mean, like, people who are treating it as a stock exchange are doing it because they're playing, that's basically a game that they enjoy. The issue with people using Magic as a stock exchange is the way in which they enjoy Magic directly impacts and makes it more difficult for other people to enjoy Magic. So for instance, someone saying, oh, I don't really like Standard, I prefer Legacy, like that, those don't hurt each other. Like, people only liking one format doesn't really hurt the other, whereas someone else having this massive buyout, for instance, of cards makes Magic more expensive and harder to get into for other people, just for the sake of people being able to play the stock market with it. Tempo Storm just wants you to have less people watching. Well, I mean, it's not just me, so like, the other folks on Tempo Storm are going to have to run. And again, they wanted 6 minutes of ads per hour initially, so we'll see. I'm interested to see for the people who do 6 how their numbers end up looking while they do it. And it's not, again, it's not even just Tempo Storm, right? Like, this is apparently something with, I don't know which all are the organizations that have agreements with Twitch, but all orgs, a lot of the esports organizations, I believe, have agreements with Twitch. This impacts more than just Tempo Storm. I want to scry into a hero. I need a hero. Do 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 do. No, we're gonna play Abs and Aristocrats after this. Newmont has to do 3 with TSM. That's interesting if he only has to do 3. I mean, technically even 6 an hour is better than cable TV, but it's still not good. When is the next ad break? Probably after I finish this match. So the first hand's actually a good mulligan discussion. So I mulligan the first hand because the first hand could draw lands, but even if we drew lands with that hand, it still wasn't good. So the question you want to ask yourself on speculative hands is, what do I need to draw, and how good is my hand if I draw it? So, like, this hand just needed to draw some spells that already had lands. So, like, if this hand draws its spells, then it's good. That other hand needed to draw lands just to play Magic, and if it played Magic with those spells, it wasn't likely to win. I agree. There's a reason why Netflix and Twitch and these online streaming services are eating traditional television alive. Maybe they have Stone Cold Nothing. Or they're about to cast a giant explosion. Yay, magic! This is where the magic happens, chat. Twitch is just trying to be nice. I mean, even if you were joking, I think it's still an interesting discussion point about mulliganing theory. That's definitely one of the things that's like, has a lot of depth to it when it comes to Magic. So just to kind of wrap up to be concise about what we talked about at a couple points during the league, I think this archetype overall is kind of a miss for me. It feels like when I have Hero and it runs away with the game, things are great, but there's just so much removal in this format, and there's enough hands where you don't have Hero that this deck's plan, when it doesn't have Hero sitting in play running away with the game, really doesn't exist. The collection of cards aren't cohesive. We can't apply pressure consistently. We can't control the board consistently with these awkward cards like Baffling End. So I think overall this is Abs and Hero is definitely still my preferred build, and this build overall doesn't feel particularly powerful or cohesive.